Thank you very much for sharing that. You delved into, your background. What would be maybe one or two things that really shaped from your personal experience? I think, your accident is one for sure, but then maybe also from your professional experiences that led you then to say, hey, you know what? I want to go and be a CEO and start my own company, armenio.ai. What are one or two things that probably really kind of spurred you to do that, inspired you to do that?
The only option that I can think of is that there are no companies that do divert patients with their own data. Usually, patients' data is governed by healthcare companies or doctors or hospitals or
Yes.
competitive companies, and that twists the responsibility of the data from the doctor to the patient. And the fact that healthcare is provided on cloud eliminates redundancy and error and things that data that is used on different companies in their secluded databases and unifies their patient's data to a central point and is accessible by companies or hospitals or data healthcare workers in a centralized notion. I mean, it doesn't change. If there is an error, the error is corrected one time, and it affects that all the surrounding healthcare providers.
Okay, great. So what I want to do is I want to dive into that even further because this is very interesting. You said that there's really nobody else doing what Armenio AI is providing today. You saw a hole in the market, right? You saw a
Right.
gap or a need that was not being filled, and so you're here to fill that gap and take
Yeah.
advantage of the opportunity there, and also in the meantime providing value to both patients, I would imagine patients, payers, and providers, right?
Correct.
I think all three are going to benefit. Could you maybe dive into how it maybe benefits? You've talked a little bit about the patient, but maybe go more into the patient and then also the provider and then the payers. Maybe walk us through how each audience receives value from what.
For instance, a patient becomes a member of our software, correct? And the patient specifies the details of his ethnicity, of the language they prefer, and their address, the country, and all the details that relate to that patient. And he creates a profile for his account, for data account. Our company creates, I don't know what it's called, patient data database that encloses that his information. Now the patient is responsible for that data. A doctor logs in and creates his own doctor ID, his address, his country, so on and so on, and is assigned uh, to an ID. The patient in this case is responsible for choosing which doctor, the place there they operate in, and reason is requesting for that doctor. In that motion, the patient is responsible for the all of the operation. He gets checked up, he gets treated, and the patient also chooses whether to transfer his uh, healthcare digital file to that doctor, and if the patient decides to, that the target doctor receives it. The patient decides if his critical data should be accepted by a doctor by providing his ID, patient ID, and also provides their patient ID, and they synchronize to get the patient's healthcare information. Did I explain myself correctly?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, and then what it probably does then, it makes it a little more, allows the patient themselves to have more control over their data,
yeah,
their privacy, right? That's
yeah,
the whole point of HIPAA, was
yeah,
to protect the patient more than anything.
yeah,
And so I think what Armenio AI then does is to take it to the next level that has probably been a missing gap as you've explained it. I
yeah,
just think of my own experience, right? Receiving care, I had to go do this, had that injury or whatever, and, things that I had to have taken care of. Because you're thrown a lot of documents or pages to then answer. Are you making it easier then for patient and the provider to fill out those forms? Is that something that
yeah,
Armenio AI can help as well?
yeah. That's a concept is based on that. Three things: redundancy, correctness, and data that is related to that patient stay with that patient. Outcome also relies on the patient. Emergency information that the patient has to provide depends on their ID, which
Okay.
we're going to provide bracelets that saves their data ID, but that information is only collected by scanning the ID, and so will the healthcare provider do to provide their own ID, and correspondingly they will provide the emergency data of that patient to the healthcare in case of an emergency. In case of an emergency, basically that is often
Right.
in case of an emergency.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that accuracy is so important. I think in speaking with some others in this field, in other chats that I've had similar to this one, there's other people that say that something like a third of deaths in hospitals are due to medical error,
Misinformation, yeah.
misinformation. Yes, 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 misinformation. Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't medical error, but data errors.
Yeah. For instance, my excuse me, my brother is an emergency doctor.
Hmm.
I asked him, how do you treat an emergency patient if you don't have his data? For you don't know his what allergies they have, what
Hmm.
medicine he uses, and anything that will differentiate his treatment in an emergency situation. He said that the regular platform is as such. There are four boxes. Whatever the patient fix box fits, the patient fixed in the box, they will use that box. So if you use Kepra and you have allergy with something or another, and you provided medicine that betters in Kepra's effectiveness, which I use myself. I use Kepra to prevent stroke. What data do you have to for you to be aware of that you have here taking Kepra
Right.
and have allergies or anything that disarrays that treatment, especially in a emergency
Yes.
situation.
Absolutely. So that's a very essential piece that you are providing then. Do you have a real world use case where Armenio AI had a tangible effect that you want to share maybe with us to say, hey, yeah, this is in a situation, a live or a real life example of where, man, it's really glad that, really good that the patient or the provider or both had Armenio AI that you'd want to share?
No, we developed a demo program of our healthcare concept, but by my mistake, it got blown away. So for now, I'm gonna create within a week or two platforms that I want patients that subscribe to our application
Okay,
to
great.
fill it out, like their language, their country, their
Right.
ethnicity, their medicine, things as such. So they can provide us their information, and we can provide them for a year or two free service.
Right. Great. So then who are then your primary target customers then that would then use Armenio AI?
First, the patients. I want the patients to have full control, and the doctors
Mm.
themselves. They
Yeah.
can have the patient's information when asked for. And emergency institutions, hospitals or
Mhm.
doctors, where they use their own ID with the patient's ID to get their needed information for fast treatment,
Okay.
accurate treatment.
Great. Yeah, that's very helpful to understand then. So, and you talked about that as well. AI in healthcare often raises questions around trust and accuracy. And that's really what you are providing, right? Is trust
Yeah,
and accuracy,
basically. Yeah,
which others aren't really doing that you've talked about, right?
yeah,
In this space. I think everybody wants to have trust and accuracy, but saying it and doing it and having it in your mission statement is one thing, but then to then carry it out and take the necessary steps to ensure that trust and accuracy is, that's probably harder said than done, and somebody has to be in charge of that.
yeah.
I think from how you have explained that, I think that Armenio AI is well positioned to do that. So, what role then do you see Armenio AI playing in reducing, say, inefficiencies or costs in the healthcare system?
I think although that's an important concept, but the process that we're providing healthcare service to patients and doctors by reducing the redundancy, that in itself is a major method of reducing money invested in healthcare overall. Healthcare is probably the most money spent platform in all of cloud-based or non-cloud-based application. They invest billions and billions of dollars on it and get nothing out of it. For instance, for an example, I don't exactly know the date. I think it's October next month.
Yes.
Companies have agreed to centralize patient data in one place, and every company gets the patient data from that place. That will reduce redundancy and errors per se. But I don't think it's going to work because that centrifuge is not being a platform by itself. So any company is getting the patient data from that point to use it in their database or patient service platform. So that defies the logic. In our case, the centrifuge will be our own application for or any application. It doesn't matter. The centrifuge is created on cloud, and that will be the centrifuge of patient data. And anyone who needs that data gets it from that place rather than store it in their own databases.
Well, that's very good. Yeah. So I think you're outlining the needs and then walking us through some of the pending. You said in October that
I
it will.
think it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
guess. I'm
But
thinking.
it's coming up very, very soon. Yeah. Okay. Good. How do you then see the balance between human expertise and AI evolving in healthcare? And then how does Armenio AI position itself in that dynamic?
AI is an inevitable
Yep.
tool. It has to be used. Pretty soon, we're going to go migrate to Moon. A couple of years later, we're going to migrate to Mars. If a patient gets sick, and they will get sick if they are on Moon or on Mars, how will that patient
Hmm.
be able to be taken care of? Predictional, I don't know its correct name, but predictable healthcare.
Right.
They can assume that they know what his genetic background is and what his disease is and after effects it will have. So they treat the patient preemptively.
Hmm.
That's one of the options. And unless they share the patient data in a centered platform, how will they be able to take care of a person who goes to moon
Yeah. Yeah.
when the
That's a really good.
information is multiple databases
Right.
and not in a singular place? So that's something that whether I do it or whether anyone else does it, it has to be done.
Yeah, so really
And
you are unifying all the disparate or all the different silos of where patient data resides. You are really trying to unify that.
that's my primary purpose. Basically, I
Okay.
applied for a PhD program at Syracuse University, and that was my argument essay for that concept.
Well,
And
great.
that's
That's
the
really,
reason,
yeah. That's the reason why you founded Armenio AI. Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Well, there we go. Well, that's good. So looking ahead, what's next then for Armenio AI? What milestones? You did mention or innovations that you're most excited about in the next maybe 6 months to a year. You did mention how you're setting up your platform to make and then have people then have subscribe. So are you going to be a subscription service then for patients, a subscription service for for
Doctors and
hospitals,
hospitals. Yeah.
doctors and hospitals? Okay, maybe talk.
That
Yeah, maybe dive down in that. Kind of drill. Sorry, kind of drill down a little bit more into that, if you would.
in, as I said, in a week or 2 weeks, I'm going
Right.
to create a platform where patients and doctors or clinics can implement their important information. The next step is to attract investors for my company. That's a major obstacle that I have right now. Is like I can't get investors. I'm not at a stage to get investors, so that's what. It's a give and take situation. We have to have enough data to do data analytics, but we need money to do that, to build an application that does the analytics. So that's our first step, and we'll take it from there. We'll
Oh,
see
great.
where I will we go from there.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, obviously having more money to be able to invest in the technology itself is going to be very, very important. Yeah. That's where you are today. But then it sounds like you are well positioned based on what you have developed to this point to be successful. So well, very good. As we close, any other parting thoughts or comments that you want to share about Armenio AI to help others understand a little bit more?
My major advice is, if not me, someone has to think about centrifying patient data and emergency options in a singular place. That's it will happen whether I do it or whether someone else do it,
Mhm.
because that's an essential part of our endeavors. to be going to moon or to Mars and to serve anyone on the surface of our planet.
Well, good, good. Well, thank you very much. I've been inspired by your story. You with the challenges that you've gone through personally, and how you've tackled those challenges. Right now, you're tackling the challenges and overcoming some of the most pressing challenges in healthcare with the AI-driven solutions that you can provide to centralize data in one place for the patient primarily, and also for the providers. That's going to be important. So those that then will listen, be sure to visit armenio.ai and follow their journey. I think good things are coming very, very soon
Hopefully.
out of Armenio AI. Until next time, encourage people to learn from Assadour, how he has overcome challenges himself, his own personal challenges, how he's grown, and how he was inspired. He saw a problem in the market, and he's addressing it today, and I think it will benefit all of us. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right.